Meanwhile, Qatar is suspending efforts to secure a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Alastair Bunkall has the details.
Qatar are taking a lot of heat for hosting Hamas, particularly after October the 7th. A lot of people accusing the country of hosting a terror organization. But the truth is that Hamas were only there really with the approval of the Americans, and it was useful to have Hamas in what's seen as a friendly country, a country that was able to mediate with the group and also host American and Israeli officials for ceasefire talks. There was some success. There was the 7-day ceasefire back in November when more than 100 hostages were released from Gaza in exchange for around 240 Palestinian prisoners being held in Israeli jails. But ceasefire talks ever since then, many of which had taken place in Doha, repeatedly failed. And so a lot of sides lost patience. The Qataris were losing patience. It was no longer really worth their reputation to have Hamas there. And the Americans had lost patience as well. And I think this move has been done at the request of Washington. There will be obviously an enormous amount of dismay amongst the hostage families here in Israel because, at least on the face of it, it suggests that sides have given up on attempts to try and broker a ceasefire. I don't think that's absolutely the case. This move is potentially one to try and jolt Hamas into agreeing to some sort of deal. Otherwise, they lose their sort of cozy homes in Doha. The Egyptians, who have been part of the mediation process, could still play a role as well. But Hamas will probably now go to either Turkey, where they already have a presence, and Erdogan has been pretty supportive of Hamas over the last year or so, or they could go to Tehran, which would make things very problematic for ceasefire talks. There are reports that also had officials in Algeria and Mauritania over recent weeks. But a diplomatic source within who's familiar to what's going on has told us that they blame both sides for the failure in talks, not just Hamas, but also it was a pointed message at Benjamin Netanyahu as well that neither side was prepared to engage properly and meaningfully in talks. Both were very firm in their own positions and weren't ready to compromise. And so 13 months now, just over exactly 13 months after October the 7th, Qatar has given notice to Hamas to leave the country.